think we've got something there. I think they were going to try and do something very spooky for Halloween or something. It's apparently Halloween. Hello, everybody. If you're wondering why I'm looking particularly uncomfortable and dishevelled at the moment, is I've just come from the other side of Melbourne carrying half a dozen pizzas or so, and there we are. I don't even know if my microphone is on. There's a green light. We're probably on. Peter, our floor manager, is saying other phones. At this time, it doesn't really matter whether the phones are on or not. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of In Pit Lane. I'm going to throw that news really quickly in a moment because I'm absolutely buggered at the moment. Now, coming up a little bit later on in the program, motor racing is dangerous. We know that. When things go wrong, it's good to have people there who know what they're doing. It's trained professionals who are there to help out. Well, we've got two of those people tonight on the program. One of them is the Motorsport Chaplain here in Victoria. His name is Mark Bateman, and he'll be joining us a little bit later on. Alongside him will be Martin Doxey, racing driver, and the man behind one of the men behind Race Solutions. You've probably seen them at things like the Australian Tarmac Rally Championships, all sorts of events. Well, he's going to join us as well and tell us all about that. Right now, I'm going to try and get some breath back while we watch the In Pit Lane Motorsport News. Congratulations to David Wall. Why? Well, he's the new Carrera Cup Series champion after the weekend's final round on the streets of Surface. A fifth place in the final race was enough for the New South Wales driver to take the title over New Zealand driver Andre Heimgartner. The race was won by Jackson Evans over Alex Davison, with Heimgartner third. It was the final appearance of this generation of Carrera Cup cars, with 24 new models already sold. Which was last week's news. We're not sure what happened. Look, if you're wondering why it's particularly chaotic, it's got nothing to do with Halloween. It's basically because we are so desperately short of crew here at the moment. And so we have it's been chaos. The fact that we got to air it all is an absolute miracle. Speaking of miracles, we might be able to talk about that with someone who, well, you may know a bit about that. He's the Motorsport Chaplain. His name is Mark Bateman. Mark, welcome to In Pit Lane.
Thanks, mate. Good to see you.
And Martin from Race Solutions. Thanks for joining us as well.
No worries. Great to be here.
Now, do we say sort of, in your case, ex-racing driver or still current racing driver?
No, we're back in the seat for the HQ 4-hour this year. So got 2 cars running this year.
Back in the saddle again.
And the production cars are being rebuilt. So, yeah, we'll be back out there and having a bit of fun in cars this year next.
Mark, let's start with you. First of all, I mean, for somebody like me, sort of the layman and the very, card-carrying atheist layman, first of all, before we go into your direct role, what is a chaplain? What does a chaplain do?
A chaplain provides pastoral care around a particular setting. For me, it's a bit of a strange combination to be a pastor and a petrol head. But we grew up in the bush and paddock bashed a whole bunch, and that kind of led us into Speedway, and from Speedway into just loving motorsport. So it's just all grown from there. And so I do my pastoral work in the field of chaplaincy into motorsport.
So how did you transition? I mean, what's the process that you go through? Obviously, you need to be a pastor first, I take it. So what was the motivation behind that? At what point? I mean, we know that there's plenty of people say, when I grow up, I want to be a racing driver. But what makes you say, I want to be a pastor?
It's strange. As 4 or 5 year old, had one of those drags to bikes and lived out in the bush on a dirt track, and you'd just try and see how fast you could turn up your driveway and then measure your skid marks to see if you did a good job.
When you say measure, you make on the road?
Yeah, well, dirt road. And sliding it up the driveway. We used to have cyclone mesh poles near the gate and had a few imprints of those on my shins a few times. But then we got from there we stole Dad's lawnmower engine and put it into a billy cart and put a V-belt drive on the back of the bottom of the shaft and one on the axle, and if you pulled the engine towards you, tensioned the V-belt, and you got momentum. And went pretty fast, but no brakes. So it was, Dad got cranky, wanted his mower back. And so we ended up grabbing a old car from the pit and took it down, fixed it up, paddock bashed with that. Best years of my life, really. And so my love for motorsport and cars, etc., all grew out of that sort of early beginnings, but always had a passion to care for people at the same time. So that led 22 into Bible college, 3 years at Bible college training, and came out 25 and started pastoring my first church. And it all grew from there, where I just married the two of them together, and I'm loving it.
So how do you become a motorsport chaplain, and how many motorsport chaplains are there?
We have about 30 around Australia.
Right, that many.
In many different disciplines. I love Speedway still, and so I do Avalon Raceway. I do love tarmac racing. I do love circuit racing. And I like dirt rallying.
In other words, if you like us, if it's got a motor and it races, you're going to go and watch it.
You've got to be there. You've got to be there. Yeah. So, and look, the reality is sometimes stuff does go pear-shaped, and it's just that's where my heart for caring for people really swings into operation. I'll support those who are directly affected by the incident, but then you've also got the family, then you've got the teams. Then you've got the officials that are supporting that sort of system. And so you provide all that you can do to diffuse tension in people. We all have a natural reaction to shocking moments. If we can diffuse the tension of that and help transition people through, then they stay in our sport and they continue to love our sport. And we really want our motorsport family to stay in that sort of setting. But then there's other issues which arise. I think of young Liam Parr, for example. The Parr family from Speedway. Young Liam's 16, in and out of hospital. I think he's had 30 operations this year. And so there's family issues that do arise as well. And I love to put my pastoral support in behind that as well. And but then there's weddings. I've done this gentleman's wedding. Yep. Right. And he and beautiful Michelle. And then there's the other sad side of it when we do have funerals, and you got to look after the family and make sure that we all get through well.
Well, I suppose, Martin, you're coming at it from the very immediate factor of a crash. First of all, Race Solutions. Tell us about that, what it is, and where did it come from?
Oh, look, we started out just James Taylor and I, just as young officials, 11 years old. James with Pike, me with Benalla Auto Club. Officialing, observing, communications, grid marshals, stuff like that. Worked our way up. I started to race a bit, and then Patrick O'Neill from Vic Fire and Rescue was at Winton a lot back in those days, and he took me under his wing, and I got that the excitement of helping people and working in the fire and rescue side of things. And then as it got bigger, we did things like the Dutton Rally, and they wanted people that were able to just fix problems for them and come in and supply clerks of course, grid marshals, set up of stages, things like that. And that's where we're with Sam with the side-by-side series now, and we're still with Peter with Mountain Motorsports with the Australian Tarmac Rally Championship, the Sports and Association, with supplying medical for the State Race Series. And then this weekend we're doing historic bikes for the HMRAV at Broadford. So a broad range of stuff, and the key is having lots of training. So we train the first Wednesday and the third Wednesday of every month, so that people get a good cross-section of not only the medical side of things, but fire, rescue, and the medical people can also do timing and things like that. So they're not just sitting around and waiting for an accident. They're actually involved in all the motorsport activities.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things. I mean, when we've had sort of involvement with you, because we're out, and sometimes we're in dangerous positions with cameras and all the rest of it, and often we'll work with you guys and also with the Vic Fire and Rescue Squad and then the flaggies and all of those people to know where to go and
just guide people
and keep people safe.
For the safety of the sport, and we're pretty strong in the training, and I guess that's the big thing, that motorsport extrication. A lot of the medical people don't tend to have that, and that's where we provide them with that, like race fuels. Keep a Formula Ford at our team factories. We've got the 2 Astras and a couple of HQs, so we're always training, always doing extrication practice. So
with that sort of thing, there's a lot of specialised equipment involved in that, and of course that sort of stuff, it doesn't come cheap. So where does the money come from?
So a lot of fundraising, a lot of good supporters like Pitman Trucks and stuff like that, and we try and keep the cost down, but we do build the promoters as well along the way. And we do a lot of car launches, so a lot of stuff for Nissan and Honda, and those corporate events, which are small crews, are able to raise higher amounts of money to help with that medical equipment and the like.
So, Mark, when you're at events like, the last one I think that we were with you, both of you guys, was the Lake Mountain Sprint a couple of years or so ago. How closely do you guys work together?
Look, I really enjoy the Race Solutions family. I saw when they first were launching off that they needed some help, so we were able to kick in with a transporter and a Chevy to help them get their work underway. And so we've pretty much been just good supporters of each other and ensure that what we do well together.
Okay. I'm just getting a message from Peter there. The news is sort of, look, I tell you what, we might take a break now, and what we might do is we might go, because look, I spent 24 bloody hours getting this together, and damn it, you're going to watch it. I don't care how out of date it is. This is the In Pit Lane Motorsport News, and enjoy it or else. Monster Energy have announced that the company will extend its title sponsorship of Cam Waters Ford for season 2018. 2017 was a breakthrough year for the 23-year-old who took his maiden Supercar win at the Sandown 500 in September.
This year's been really good, got some really good results and had a bit of fun off track with them, and obviously it's awesome to continue that partnership, and hopefully we can come out next year swinging with them.
Prodrive racing boss Tim Edwards told In Pit Lane that the re-signing of Monster Energy is great news for the Prodrive squad, especially in such a competitive sponsorship market.
It's always, makes you feel proud when you actually a sponsor re-signs, because it means we've actually been able to deliver to them, and you can quite easily take somebody's money and put a sticker on the car and not deliver, but we'd like to feel that we have delivered, and to have a brand like Monster is just fantastic. It's such an iconic global brand, and so to have one of our cars adorned in that is absolutely fantastic. So, it was great for us at Sandown, where Cam and Richie stood on the top step of the podium, for Monster for the first time in Australian supercars. That was a proud moment, and I think we look forward to many more weekends like that over the next 12 months.
The energy drink is well known for its marketing and support of motorsport, with events like last Saturday night's World Speedway Championships at Etihad Stadium, through to World Rallycross, NHRA drag racing, and of course their naming rights sponsorship of NASCAR. So what's the synergy between motorsport and the brand?
Monster is a feeling that we want people and our consumers to have. We're a brand that goes out and gets it, and a lot of motorsport platforms bring that to us, whether it be Rallycross, whether it be F1, whether it be Moto GP, or as you said, Speedway Grand Prix, which we're all here at Etihad Stadium to watch tomorrow night.
So what do you think you get sort of so much success out of it and some other companies just don't seem to get it? I mean, what do you do differently, and what would you say to other companies in terms of leveraging their support for motorsport? It's more than just putting your name and your logo on the side of the car, isn't it?
Look, it's a lot more than just the logo. Every brand is in a platform or a sponsorship for their own reasons. For us, we're in it for the partnership. We're in it for the long haul, and we're in it to extend our reach. Monster, as I said, is a brand that is synonymous around the world, and we definitely feel that Monster is brought to life through Cam Waters, through the Prodrive racing family, and obviously having our branding on that car is phenomenal when it goes around the racetrack.
Waters and Prodrive will continue to run the now discontinued Falcon in 2018. But beyond that date, nothing's been decided, although team boss Edwards is hoping that it will still be a Ford.
We've always been a Ford team. There's a lot of history with Ford, with the team, with me myself. I started my working career over 30 years ago working for a Ford dealership, so it's we're blue through and through, and we proudly fly the blue flag.
Waters, who began his main game supercar career with Monster Energy, is delighted to be racing with the iconic brand for a third straight year, and he's confident that 2018 will see him in serious contention for the championship.
Obviously it's awesome for Prodrive to have the naming rights locked away for my car. My car's looking pretty full, so shows everyone's got a lot of confidence in the team and myself, and even the sport in general. It's looking pretty strong to have massive brands in the sport like Monster Energy. It shows where the sport is actually at.
Lewis Hamilton has wrapped up his 4th World Drivers' title despite a 9th place finish in the Mexican Grand Prix. The race got off to a dramatic start for Hamilton as his only title rival, Sebastian Vettel, clipped the Mercedes' right rear tyre, giving the car a puncture. Damage to Vettel's front wing also required a pit stop, and he fought his way back to finish 4th, but it wasn't enough to keep the championship alive. With the 2 title rivals in trouble, Max Verstappen dominated and eased away to a comfortable victory. Valtteri Bottas was second from Esteban Ocon, who had a great weekend. Things didn't go anywhere near as well for Daniel Ricciardo, who retired from the race early after having started from 16th after an engine change. The Formula One Championship might be decided, but in Moto GP, a win by Andrea Dovizioso has kept the fight for that title alive for yet another round. Dovizioso rode his Ducati to victory, leading home teammate Jorge Lorenzo and the rapidly improving French rider Johan Zarco. Series leader Marc Marquez finished 4th, but that was enough to give Honda an unbeatable lead in the manufacturer's title. So now it's back to Europe for the final showdown at Valencia, with Marquez leading the championship by 21 points. A good weekend in China for the Australian contingent at the opening round of the Asian Le Mans Series, the 4 Hours of Zhuhai. Josh Burden took out the LMP3 class alongside Louis Prete and Neric Way, while Chaz Mostert helped to take the GT3 win with BMW with co-drivers Jesse Krohn and Jusen Chen. The outright victory and LMP2 went to the Jackie Chan Racing Orica of Thomas Laurent, Stefan Rakelmi and Harrison Newey. Canberra driver Dean Koutsamides was 3rd. Kyle Busch has taken the win on the short track at Martinsville, the latest round of the NASCAR Cup Playoff Series. Busch barged his way past Denny Hamlin on the penultimate lap, taking the checkered flag just ahead of series leader Martin Truex Jr. as chaos erupted behind them. Joey Logano had led the race early, but it was Brad Keselowski that won the first 2 stages. Busch put Logano out of contention after contact caused Logano's car to blow a tyre on lap 497. Hamlin took the lead after punting Chase Elliott, but it was Busch who timed his run to perfection to take the checkered flag and 2nd place in the chase for the championship. And in NHRA drag racing, an emotional win as Top Fuel veteran Terry McMillan took out his first ever NHRA Top Fuel event. McMillan took the win after a red light by Brittany Force. In funny car, Matt Hagan powered his Dodge Charger to his first victory at Las Vegas, defeating Courtney Force in the final. Pro Stock was won by veteran Greg Anderson, and Eddie Craywick took out Pro Stock Bike. Want to know more about In Pit Lane? Well, you can support us via Patreon. Go to patreon.com/In Pit Lane. Remember to subscribe and like our YouTube channel. Check out the In Pit Lane website for lots of live streaming and all the latest news. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, email us at theshow@inpitlane.com, and to find out more about effective and affordable advertising for your company or products, email us at advertise@inpitlane.com. In Pit Lane, 21 years, and they haven't killed us yet. No, but I'll tell you what, it came bloody close tonight, I can tell you. Now let's go back to our guest tonight. I've been getting sort of spiritual uplifting from Mark and from well, so is Martin actually. Martin is now. Have you recovered, Martin?
Yeah, a bit of a cough.
Now, Mark, let's go through your role. I mean, in terms of you and the other motorsport chaplains, we've seen. Before big events like Bathurst and the Grand Prix and all that, the Motorsport Chaplain coming out and making the invocation. I think that's what they called all the rest of it. Look, when you look at that nowadays, do you think that there's still a place for that? When you consider that such a secular community and it's religion, is there still a place for that? Is it still a suitable thing, or wouldn't it be better served sort of off somewhere quiet and doing it for the people who really will get something out of it?
Yeah, look, I tend to find that if the invocation or the prayer is not said, there's kind of a hang on, we haven't Mark hasn't prayed yet. I think there is a place for it, and I suppose the best way to respond would be, apart from "Dear God," and at the end, "Amen," who wouldn't agree with we want to have a safe race? Please keep all our guys and girls protected, and all our teams and officials. And so I suppose it's an expression, I think, that people embrace, that is more the well-being of the event, without there being too much of a difficulty with the beginning or the end.
Because of course you serve everybody in there. It doesn't matter. I mean, you don't look for the membership card and all the rest of it. So if I came to you and said, like, hang on, you're a card-carrying atheist, and I am a card-carrying atheist. And by the way, you should see the card. It's absolutely magnificent. I got to tell you, black with gold. It's like the John Place. It's fabulous. And I'm not giving that up for anything. I'm sorry, but you'll look after everybody. You and all the chaplains will just look after everybody regardless.
Yeah, that's our role. We're not there to be selective. If there's a person in need, then we're there to help.
Yeah. Martin, from your point of view, have you any sort of memories over the years of working with, not just with Mark, but with some of the other chaplains around and the things that they've done? Oh,
look, we've worked with Mark. He's been our motorsport chaplain since I started. So we've had the Mount Buller Sprint. We've had deaths there, and it's a strong bond. And as he said, it's not only that bond that we have at events, but it's away from events and looking after people's welfare and stuff like that. Like you, I'm not that religious, but Mark and I have a strong bond. And without each other at the event, there's always a support role to look after the family, to look after the people that need supporting. I mean, at Australian Rally this year, we were bringing some of the drivers back. It was only a little crash, but it gave the wives somewhere to go. And Mark, knowing about motorsport, was able to, put them at ease and stuff like that. So that's why the transporter is a key part of what we do. Not only is it a medical centre, but it's a area for welfare and taking those people and getting them out of the limelight and things like that, particularly if there's TV at times. Some people don't cope with the situation. So, yeah, everywhere we go these days, the transporter or Mark is normally there supporting us.
Can you tell us about the transporter? I mean, it's been around for a couple of years now. It's a very impressive looking device. So what is the role of that? I mean, you mentioned that Martin said about it also being a sort of a temporary medical centre as well. So how's it all set up, and what do you do with it?
The first one we built was in '99, and it was off the back of us losing a young fella at a race event, and tragically it was one of those cross rally sand dune type events, and medical was not able to get to him in time, and we had difficulty getting him out of the car because the roll cage has been pushed down onto his chest, and all for the sake of a reciprocal saw or something to have cut the cage off him. We lost him, and that kind of hurt my heart pretty bad. I want to be a part of ensuring that we get everyone home safe from our events, and if it meant that, well, we would put our hand in our pocket and we'd construct something that would give us resources, because a lot of the attitude was, she'll be right, no problems. But we did have some problems, and so it was on my heart to make sure that if we had problems, we were able to throw the very best at it. And that's why partnering with Race Solutions, I see that they literally do their very best. Their equipment is top grade. Their effort to train is just consistent and sharp, and new people coming in get quickly embraced into the family. And I think the best way to support people in any circumstance is if you already have a relationship or there's a bridge there for you already to them. And so coming off of that bridge, it's very easy to speak into their lives. They're not sort of gun shy in respect to, well, you're a chaplain, and get nervous. And so I find the best of that just ensures that the transporter is at these events. It has the whole back end is like a large ambulance or double ambulance. There's a toilet shower on board. We've also used it in disaster relief. So when we had to go into areas up in Far North Queensland following Cyclone Larry, Cyclone Yazi, those sort of things, and there's no infrastructure, and you're taking chaplains up there, you can't say, hey, we're here to help. Where can we stay when there's nothing there? It's all been blown away. So we've got to bring our own resource in. So our kitchen, toilet, showers, all there. A dining area for either briefing or debriefing or meals, or during the daytime it was often commandeered by Department of Community Services to help people who were affected by the cyclones. They were able to come in, sit down. The Department of Finance actually had the back end of the transporter, and that made it then the best of. Then we reverted back to our own accommodation then of the evenings. But when it's not away at an event like that, then it's back here and it's assisting in motorsport activities, especially when you're away from infrastructure and there's no sort of close infrastructure, or there's nothing at the track for first aid response.
You deal with people that often they're most vulnerable, and as you say, you over the years you've seen a lot, and you give comfort for people in those really dark times. Where do you go who do you talk to when things go wrong? Because it's got to get to you.
Oh, it does. Some of the stuff does hurt. That's, I suppose, the other side of, if you are in a relationship with people, when you lose them, it even hurts that bit more. But I've always done disaster or critical incident intervention. I find my best debrief is when I get home to Barbie, my wife, and I can't tell her what I've seen or what we had to do, but she wants to know, honey, how you doing? How you feeling? And if I can share how I'm feeling, it tends to be something that a hug from her just as a way of absorbing a lot of that. And then I lean back into my conviction that there's a big fella upstairs that does care for us genuinely. And I love the scripture in Peter that encourages us to cast our cares on him because he cares for us. And I know we can't carry that sort of burden. So it's something which I'm okay with giving over, and then being able to get on with doing what I love to do. And tough times do come, but they do pass, and we get back into, and we pick up the pieces, and we press on, and we enjoy our sport.
Martin, as you said, you're about to get back behind the wheel again. Are you going to be asking for any sort of special prayers or anything before you head out? Especially in an HQ Holden. I mean, like as I said, I think even I'd be asking for special prayers if I was driving an HQ Holden.
No, we're Stephen White and I have been chasing this 4 hour for a number of years. When we were forming the team, of course, a lot of the funds went into setting up Race Solutions. So now it's a bit of a time just to relax myself, and that HQ 4 hours, the one event we do a year, and we hope to do maybe something like the Bathurst 6 hour as well. But pretty keen to get back in the car and just get out there and hopefully do well.
So if people out there, anybody involved with motorsport, want to find out more about what you do at Race Solutions and how they might help or get involved, who do they talk to? Where do they go? Yep,
you can get onto me on Facebook, Martin Doxey, Doxey. We've also got the website, Race Solutions, motorsport.com. So look, we're always looking for paramedics, nurses, doctors, all that kind of stuff, and it's a great team environment and great fun. We learn a lot. And we have a lot of fun socially as well.
And Mark, if people want to find out about your work, and not just in motorsport as well, because I know you do a lot of things for things like suicide prevention and all that sort of thing. Where do they find out more about you and get in touch?
Look, you can. I'm also on Facebook. Just look up for me, Mark Bateman, and you'll find me there. And or if need be, you can track me through Sports Chaplain Australia, which is the group that we're affiliated with in our sports chaplaincy role. So between one of those two, or even if they can give you a call there, Brett, and you can
they certainly
hand my number on.
They certainly can.
But keen to talk to anyone in respect to that. Just to be back to people blessing or asking for blessings before we go racing. There's a few guys that often come up and say, "Oh, can you bless the car? Can you bless the car?" And you say, no, I'm not going to pray for you, mate. I think you need it more than what the car does.
Well, you all do. The volunteers and right throughout motorsport, we've said a million times, the sport doesn't exist without them. Congratulations to all the work both of you guys do. We'll see you around the tracks and around the forest roads and dirt tracks of Australia. But for now, Martin Doxey and Mark Bateman, thanks for joining us in Pit Lane.
Thanks, Brett.
Thank you,
Cheers.
Brett.
And thank you to you at home for joining us. Now, our live music tonight. Yes, we do have live music tonight. And if Phil would throw up the details, there's Sophie Rose and the Manual Breathing, and they've got a new album coming out, Razor Sharp Soundtrack, which is launching January 2018. And you can find them on Facebook and Instagram. Sophie Rose and the Manual Breathing, and they're going to take us out tonight. Now, no program next week because next week is something in Melbourne. If you're outside of Melbourne, there is this horse race thing called the Melbourne Cup. It is the race that slows down a nation, but it totally brings RMIT to a complete crashing. They lock the doors, there's security everywhere. We can't get in, even if we wanted to, and some of us may well be too drunk to care anyway. But in 2 weeks' time, what we promised last week will hopefully be happening. Our special guest will be ex-Formula 5000 driver and Sandown promoter, the man behind the famous Eastern Nats, John Davison, will be joining us. That's in 2 weeks' time here on In Pit Lane. But right now, let's take us out. This is Sophie Rose and the Manual Breathing, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time on In Pit Lane. So until then, bye for now.
Once a week, it's time to scrub my face, my arms, my soul as one. The crusty grows each day on me as I become a hikikomori. So the skin and fake your grin. Threatening to overwhelm, I shed my skin and seek to down. I've lost the art of small talk, so slow the skin and fake your grin. Exfoliation, clear these blues away. Liberation, breathe in restoration. 'Cause I wanna be new today. Inoculation against these bad dreams. Fly a kite in your real life, or you could even take a ride.